Okay, so you know how some people think being royal would be like a dream come true?
Right?
Well, get ready to think again
Yeah.
because today we're going deep
Mm-hmm.
into the life of Empress Elizabeth of Austria.
Uh-huh.
But you probably know her as Sisi.
Yeah, more commonly.
Yeah.
Yeah, see.
And her life was anything but a fairy tale.
Oh, yeah.
And to make it even crazier, get this.
Okay.
She became Empress when she was only 15 years old.
Wow.
Can you even imagine that?
That's so young.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at the Noble Blood podcast episode
Okay.
about Sisi for this deep dive.
I love that podcast.
And I think after this, you'll never think about a tiara the same way again.
I bet.
So one of the things that's so interesting about Sisi
Yeah.
is how different her childhood was
Totally.
compared to the life she was thrown into.
Yeah.
Like, picture this. You're going from this totally free-spirited childhood
Okay.
in the Bavarian countryside
I can picture that.
to suddenly being in this super formal Austrian court.
Oh my gosh, what a change.
And the podcast does such a good job
I'd agree.
of painting this picture of her dad, Duke Maximilian.
Yeah.
Like he was this bohemian aristocrat who let his kids run wild,
Oh, wow.
climbing trees, whatever they wanted,
Yeah.
which is so different than the rigid world of the Habsburgs.
Yeah, completely opposite.
Which is why it was so shocking when she got engaged to Emperor Franz Joseph.
He was a surprise.
Huge surprise.
Oh, wow.
He was supposed to marry her older sister,
Oh.
but he was totally captivated by Sisi's youthful charm.
I can see that.
So can you even imagine what people in the Viennese court were saying?
I bet they were gossiping like crazy.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And his own mother, Archduchess Sophie, was not happy at all.
I can imagine that either.
Oh, yeah. The episode really talks about how controlling Sophie was.
Oh.
Like, she had this whole plan for her son's reign, and Sisi, this free-spirited teenager,
Yeah.
did not fit into that plan.
Oh, no.
Talk about a mother-in-law from hell.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's so sad for Sisi. She loved the emperor, but she was dreading the life
Yeah.
that was waiting for her.
Yeah.
And the podcast even quotes her saying, "I love the emperor so much.
Wow.
If only he were not the emperor."
Wow.
Like she knew she was trading her freedom
Yeah.
for a gilded cage.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
I know. And it wasn't just about the etiquette and scrutiny.
Yeah.
The pressure to have a son to be the heir
Oh, yeah.
was huge.
I bet.
The episode talks about how they had 2 daughters first,
Okay.
and then this awful pamphlet appeared
What?
on Sisi's bedside table.
No, no.
And it basically said that her position was in jeopardy
Really?
if she didn't have a son.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
That's awful.
And we don't know for sure who put it there,
Yeah.
but it really shows you the power dynamics going on.
Uh-huh.
Sisi was basically just a pawn
Yeah.
in this big political game.
Makes sense why she struggled with depression.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Imagine constantly feeling like people are watching you,
Uh-huh.
judging you,
Yeah.
telling you how to live your life.
It would be too much for anyone.
Yeah. And that's where her obsession with beauty comes in.
Oh, interesting.
It was her way to have some control
Makes sense.
over her own life.
Yeah.
The episode goes into some pretty crazy details
Oh, really?
about her beauty routine.
Okay, like what?
Well, we're talking like starvation cures,
Wow.
tight lacing to keep a super tiny waist,
Oh, my gosh.
and even face masks made from raw veal.
Raw veal.
I know.
That's crazy.
It's kind of shocking now,
Yeah.
but it really shows you the pressure women faced back then.
Yeah.
And honestly, the pressure they still face today.
Very true.
Yeah, Sisi's story is like a reminder that how things look on the outside
Mm-hmm.
can be really different from what's going on inside.
Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't just about her figure either.
What else?
Her hair was legendary.
Really?
Apparently it went all the way down to her ankles.
Wow.
And it took hours to brush in style.
Hours.
Hours.
That's crazy.
It was like a crown itself.
Wow.
And one scholar even said, "Your Majesty wears her hair like a crown instead of the crown."
Oh, wow.
And Sisi replied, "Except that any other crown is more easily laid aside."
Oh, that's so sad.
I know she clearly felt trapped
Yeah.
by her role as Empress.
Mm.
But things started changing for her
Oh, yeah.
when she found Hungary.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like Hungary was this breath of fresh air for her.
Oh, wow.
The podcast talks about how much she loved the country,
Yeah.
people, the culture.
Mm-hmm.
She even learned to speak Hungarian fluently,
Oh, wow.
which is not easy.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
It really shows how strong and intelligent she was.
Right.
She understood how important Hungary was to the empire,
Yeah.
and she used her influence to help them,
Huh.
which was a pretty smart move politically.
I agree.
And it all led to the creation of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Wow. So she went from
I
this
know.
shy, reluctant empress to a powerful political figure.
Totally. It's quite a transformation.
It's huge.
But then her story takes a really sad turn
Oh, what happened?
when her only son, Prince Rudolph, committed suicide.
Oh, that's awful.
It was devastating for her.
Yeah.
And she withdrew even more,
Mm-hmm.
just overwhelmed by grief and guilt.
Of course.
And the court blamed her,
Oh, no.
which just added to everything she was already going through.
That's bad.
So tragic.
It is.
She lost her son, and then she had to deal with all the judgment and
Yeah.
whispers from the people who were supposed to support her.
That's so sad.
It really shows how lonely it can be,
It does.
even when you have power and fame.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that
Yeah.
even with all the privilege and
Right.
grandeur,
Mhm.
tragedy can still happen.
Exactly. Sisi's life was full of beauty,
Yeah.
but also so much sadness.
So true.
And things got even more complicated for her in her later years.
Really? How so?
The podcast says she started acting really erratically.
Oh.
She was traveling all the time, acting impulsively, even doing dangerous things.
Well, wow.
It's almost like she was trying to escape from her own demons.
Wow. That's intense.
There were stories about her breaking into people's homes, demanding to be tied to the deck of ships during storms,
Oh, my gosh.
even comparing herself to Odysseus,
Seriously.
battling the forces of nature.
Wow. That's so different.
I know it's a far cry from the image of a graceful and composed empress.
Yeah. Totally.
It almost seems like a way of self-sabotage, like she was subconsciously rebelling against all the rules.
That's an interesting way to think about it.
She spent her whole adult life
Yeah.
being told how to act, how to look,
Mm-hmm.
even how to grieve.
Right.
Maybe these erratic behaviors
Yeah.
were her way of finally breaking free.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's kind of ironic.
Uh-huh.
She was an empress with all this power,
Yeah.
but she was deeply unhappy and just wanted freedom.
And that desire for freedom actually led to her death.
Oh yeah, the podcast talks about that.
Yeah.
Even though the Swiss police warned her,
Okay.
she refused to have a bodyguard.
Why?
She hated all the attention,
Yeah.
and she wanted to be able to move around freely.
Oh.
But that made her an easy target
Yeah.
for Luigi Luciani.
Who's that?
He was the Italian anarchist who assassinated her.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was in 1898.
That's so sad.
It's a scary reminder
It is.
that even powerful people can be vulnerable.
It's true.
Luciani's actions were horrible,
Yeah.
but in a twisted way, his motives
Mm-hmm.
were about wanting change.
Oh, how so?
He saw Sisi as a symbol of the ruling class,
Oh, okay.
which he blamed for the suffering of the working class.
I see.
The episode even says that Luciani didn't care who he killed.
Oh, wow.
He was going after a crown,
Uh-huh.
a symbol of power,
Yeah.
not the woman wearing it.
Wow. That's disturbing.
It's a serious reminder
Yeah.
about how complicated political violence is
Uh-huh.
and how dangerous it is to dehumanize people
Absolutely.
who we see as different.
It makes you wonder
Yeah.
if anyone really saw Sisi for who she was,
Right.
the woman behind the crown.
Exactly. Even her own family
Yeah.
seemed more worried about her being empress
Right.
than about her as a person.
That's really sad.
And even after she died, they still didn't see her.
Oh, really?
The episode talks about how they argued
About what?
about what to write on her coffin.
Seriously?
Should it say Empress of Austria
Uh-huh.
or Empress of Austria and Queen of Hungary,
Wow, they were still fighting over her identity?
even after she was gone?
That's crazy.
It just shows how history often remembers people
Mm-hmm.
for their titles and accomplishments
Right,
and
and-
not for who they really were.
Exactly. But Sisi's story
Right.
reminds us that even the most famous people
Yeah.
are complex individuals
Mm.
with hopes and dreams and
Mm.
struggles just like us.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what Sisi would think about how she's been portrayed throughout history. The Noble Blood episode mentions this too,
Oh, yeah.
how she's been used for everything.
Really?
From war propaganda to inspiration for fashion campaigns.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know it shows how her image has been so powerful and mysterious,
Right.
but it also shows how easy it is to change historical figures
Mhm.
to fit whatever story people want to tell.
That's true.
One minute she's this symbol of Austrian power,
Yeah.
then she's a tragic heroine, then she's a fashion icon. It's like we're still trying to control her.
Even though she's gone.
I know.
That's kind of messed up.
It really is. Which brings us back to that question.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever really see Sisi for who she was?
The person behind the title?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Or was she always just a symbol?
That's a sad thought.
It really is. So how should we remember Sisi?
Well, I think the Noble Blood episode does a really good job of showing how complex she was. She was
Hmm.
a loving mother,
Yeah.
a political force,
Hmm.
a fashion
Oh,
icon, and a woman who was fighting her own inner demons.
right.
We should remember all those parts of her.
It's a good reminder that people are never just one thing,
Exactly.
and that even those who seem to have it all
Yeah.
can still be struggling.
Very true. Cece's story really encourages us
I agree.
to look beyond the surface, to have more empathy,
Yeah.
and to question the simple stories that
Yeah.
we're often told.
I love that. It's like it's telling us to be more curious
Exactly.
about the world and the people in it.
I agree.
So what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away
Okay.
from this deep dive into Cece's life?
I hope they remember that history is more than just dates and battles. It's about real people who
Yeah.
lived and loved and struggled just like we do.
Right.
Cece's story, with all its ups and downs,
Yeah.
reminds us of that.
And even though she lived over 100 years ago,
I know.
there are so many things in her story
Totally.
that connect to our lives today.
Yeah. Like what?
The pressure to fit in,
Yeah.
the desire for freedom,
Yeah.
the search for happiness.
Right. It's all still relevant.
It's a reminder that even people with unbelievable power and privilege still face human challenges.
It's true. It's really humbling.
It is. So we encourage you to keep learning about Empress Sisi.
Yes.
Read her poetry.
Okay.
Learn about the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Maybe even watch that Chanel short film
Oh, yeah.
that the episode mentioned.
That sounds fun.
And most importantly,
Yeah.
keep asking questions. Keep exploring. Keep diving deep.
I love that.
That's it for our deep dive into the life of Empress Sisi.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, thanks for listening.